thank you for coming. And just really quickly, tell me your name, where you're from, your background, how did you end up, if you're not from LA, over here, and what you're doing at UCLA.
Yeah, so my name is Milagro Jones. Where I'm from, I'm not really from anywhere. I spent my whole life moving around. So I was raised in homelessness, and by that happening, like my mom would just be on Greyhound buses, go to one town, go to one city, stay in like domestic violence shelter there, go to another town, another city, and then if she would be in like a mental health institution or something, I would go into foster care. So I just grew up moving around the country. So I'm not really from anywhere. I came to Los Angeles in 2018. The reason I came here is because my daughter was the victim of child abuse, and I was the victim of domestic violence in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. So I came here with 40 bucks, my carry-on bags. My daughter was 3 at the time. I started out in Skid Row. I started working my way up, and I'm at UCLA studying English with a concentration in creative writing. I also do the Mellon Mays undergraduate fellowship, so I do research on drill music as a unique form of African American literature. I was just in the studio yesterday. I'll be back in the studio tomorrow. We're doing a song called "We With My Mom." Go to where my dad stayed. I got jumped into a gang at a young age. So I was with it.
Wow.
I was in the gang for a while. Juvenile detention, so like just moving around and different things.
So do you think, obviously you were dealt a rough card, but do you think that gave you a certain kind of resilience in life to kind of, you're obviously a father to a child, which says a lot about a human being, that you can look after a child and take them out from a negativity, bring them to a positivity.
Right.
Do you think what you went through in life gave you that resilience?
So I guess one thing is genetics play a role, and then another thing, like based on your experiences, I know I read this one book where it showed like two people can have the same experiences and turn out completely different. Like Oprah Winfrey went through a lot, and then she bounced back and became a billionaire. Jeffrey Dahmer went through a lot, and then he ended up being being a prolific serial killer. So it's like
that's very true. It really is true. It's really your reaction to the action. I mean, you could be born with things, and you could not. But it's how you react to what life throws at you. So I've seen you recently, and you're really pushing. So that's amazing, man. So right now you're a student in UCLA.
Yeah.
So undergrad student. So
like I feel like Billy Madison when Adam Sandler had to go back to school.
That's great.
Yeah, I'm the oldest undergrad in my classes.
Okay, but you know what? A lot of people won't even take that chance. So you're a student in UCLA. You're paying a tuition in order to receive a service in that building, in those grounds, in that facility. Mm-hmm. And recently, you had an experience at UCLA. So what happened to you at UCLA recently?
Yeah. So basically, a lot of people support this movement that they just say like free Palestine. I'll say for the average student like myself at the time, I didn't really know anything about it. It's kind of just like the trendy thing to say. Like you remember with Black Lives Matter was kind of the trendy thing, and everybody was putting the little BLM hashtags and changing their profile pictures to like a black fist. So it's kind of just like the little trend. Yeah, it's a little trendy thing to say and whatever. So I just went to they had a protest at USC, the SJP and the FJP got kicked out of there. So they put on the internet like we'll regroup at UCLA. So we kind of knew they was about to show up, but I didn't know how serious it was gonna be. Like they took over the whole Dixon Plaza. They had like entrances set up where you had to like check in and get permission to enter.
So these pro-Palestinians, anti-Israel, anti-Jewish groups took over the plaza. So I wanted to ask you, you experienced it, and we'll continue that story in a second, but are these mostly students, when the people that you encountered, are they mostly kids at UCLA, or are they outsiders coming in, or is it, what's the...
Yeah, so there's a chapter of SJP at UCLA, so there were some students from there. There's a chapter of FJP, which is Faculty for Justice in Palestine, so there were a lot of professors, even just faculty like lecturers who aren't even like full professors. So there's professors, lecturers, grad students, some undergrads, and then there was a lot of people from just the outside community, so gang members, just troublemakers. This type of stuff attracts a lot of dangerous
stragglers, a lot of people that have nothing to do.
Yeah, even just homeless people who were just coming in. There was free food there was free drinks, a lot of stuff.
So was this done by administration, or was this like small organizations in UCLA? Did they have a right to do this?
No, so they there's actually a statute, like they're not allowed to camp there. You know, like if me and my friends, like let's say I went to South LA and got a bunch of homies and we showed up with tents, we pitched tents. The police would come in, bust our heads. They would tear our tents down. They would throw us in jail. If we resisted, we would get serious misdemeanors or felony charges. But they, for some reason, were allowed to erect these tents, erect barriers around the tents. When the police came, they fought with the police. They sprayed them with fire extinguishers. They threw things at the police, and they got citations. They didn't even get misdemeanors.
That's what they got.
Yeah, they didn't even get misdemeanors, felonies, nothing. They got citations.
Okay, so going back to UCLA, you're a student at UCLA.
So I went to go to my class, but they were blocking Powell Library. The first time walking towards class when I went in the encampment, I just, went in real quick, looked around, recorded a few things, and then left, and then went to class. Then I came back from class, and when I went in, my homeboy went in, my homegirl went in, nobody else got stopped. My homeboy was Latino, and he was with other people. So I think he didn't get stopped
because he wasn't alone.
Yeah, he wasn't alone. But I was by myself. So when I went in, the faculty members started like pushing me. So these like lecturers and grad students started pushing me. So first they just pushing me. It went from pushing me to body checking me, like using their body to bump into me, and they telling me that I can't be here, I have to leave, I'm not allowed to record with my phone, I can't take videos. They're telling me stuff like that, and so we're kind of just arguing because I'm telling them like I know my rights. I'm a student here. I'm allowed to be here.
You're paying tuition. Right. I mean, you're supposed to be there.
Right. So we're going back and forth about that.
Wow.
Then they surround me and they start going. They link up arms and they go 1, 2, 3, push, and like as a whole group, they trying to push me out of the space. So I tried to just like physically like push against them, like to try to not get pushed out the space. But I was like, yo, it's too many of them. It was more than 20 people. So I just sat down cross-legged. And I was like, what y'all gonna do? You're gonna lift me up, carry me, and throw me out the space? Because if you do that, it's gonna look bad. You know what I'm saying? Like there's cameras all around. So they took blankets and scarves and they surrounded us with blankets and scarves so that the news cameras couldn't get a clear shot of us.
Wow.
And so once they did that, I called UCPD, like the police department of the school.
Yeah.
And I told them like, yo, these people are shoving me around. And it was like, are you the guy in the pink? I was like, yeah. They was like, oh yeah, we know about you. They was like, the administration said that if you get out of there, you can go to the administration office.
So the security of campus went and told you if you get out there, you can go there and make a complaint or something.
Yeah.
So no one was actively doing anything. Like your life could have been in danger, potentially was in danger. But no one was actively doing anything about it.
Right, and I asked UCPD like, can I defend myself? Can I
fight back?
Yeah, and they told me no. They said if I do anything, I would get in trouble. So I called my brother on FaceTime, and he started coming over there. Once my brother it took an hour because he was far. He was on the bus and the train. My brother's homeless right now. He stays downtown. So after an hour, he was 2 minutes away. And I told the faculty member, I said, my brother's 2 minutes away. You can hear him. He's on FaceTime right here. I'm like, once he gets here, I'm telling him that everything is on you. All these people that are holding me against my will besides you, I'm not even going to mention them. I'm going to tell them you started it. You demanded it. It was all on you. Because you know better. You're a professor. You know better. So then he got scared because he seen my brother was really like 2 minutes away. And he was like, all right, let's let him go free.
Wow.
So they let me go free. My brother came in the camp. And then once my brother showed up, they were like, oh, he's not going to start any trouble. He's not going to cause any problems, is he? My brother was eating, doing what he wanted to do. They didn't want no problems with him. So then I took my photos, videos, and I left. The next time I came back because my daughter has gymnastics at UCLA. So she went to her gymnastics, and then we go to this bus line to catch this bus that'll take us right in front of our apartment.
So it's kind of crazy because you had a rough upbringing. You fought to get to where you are. You have a daughter. I mean, your daughter relies on you.
Right.
And then you're in a school where you're paying tuition. And not even the official administration, faculties, right, and lecturers, but they can just bully you around. They can do whatever they want. Really.
Right.
I mean, if they harassed you as a black guy at the times of BLM, there's no way this would have been allowed because then it was about Black Lives Matter.
Right.
But today, they've forgotten about Black Lives Matter. And now it's about anti-Semitism. And now, Black Lives don't matter. They just prove that.
Right. To them. Yeah.
To them.
Yeah. So they but the first time I went in there, they even told me like, because when my brother showed up, they was making their apologies, and they even said that they came up to me and they're like, we just want to let you know that we're sorry about what happened. That we know that was wrong. We should have never put our hands on you. It was like, but we mistook you for an Israeli agitator. So that's the first time that they said something crazy like that to me.
So what is your history with being pro-Israel? Like, where does that come from? Did that just happen last week? You know, when
Yeah,
before
so
this
I
happened?
was so yeah. When I went in there, I was just trying to shake hands with those people and show them some love and say what up. So once they told me like, oh, we did that because we thought you was Israeli agitator. So when they say we did it because we thought you was Israeli, like that, to me, I took a real offense to that because my dad is from Mississippi and he went through segregation. Like he was born before the Civil Rights Act. He had to go through, you know, when they integrated the schools and lived through all that. And even now, like my daughter has experienced a lot of like racism here in Los Angeles. She went to one school and the school thought that I was Latino because my name is Spanish. And so the principal of the school, he met with me and he said like the reason why we have it as a community magnet instead of a regular magnet school is because we want to make sure that none of those black kids can get bussed in here from the projects and the places like that, and we're gonna keep it as white and Latino as we can.
Wow.
And he was saying that to me in confidence, like we're on the same page. So I know it still exists. A lot of segregation and racism still exists. And once they said that to me, I took real offense to that. Back in fall of 2022, my first quarter at UCLA, I took a class called California Literature. The professor's name was Blake Almendinger. There was a Jewish girl in the class. He stood in front of the class. He asked her to turn in something about her identity. She turned it in. He said he was going to read it in front of the class. Instead of reading it, he told her, he said, you know what you should have wrote instead of this? You should have wrote about why if the Jewish religion is so life-affirming, why do Jewish people complain so much?
Wow.
And then he went into a caricature of a Jewish person and said, oy vey, I wandered in the desert for 40 years. I survived the Holocaust. All I do is complain. And he busted out laughing like that was funny. So me and a Muslim student, we filed a DPO complaint, which is a discrimination prevention office complaint against him.
Wow.
When I told him I filed a complaint, he retaliated against me. So from fall 2022 up until Friday, April 26th, I had a case ongoing for 2 years. It ended
For
up being
defending a Jewish person.
yeah, it ended up being a Title IX case. So I had that case going on for 2 years. Every 90 days, they would request 90 more days for the investigation. 90 more days
That's
for
what
the
they do
investigation
these days.
for 2 years. So they didn't finish the case until May 2nd after I went viral. After I went viral, and I told them like, you know, I'm about to talk about this in the media and everything. Then suddenly, boom, the case was finished.
What was the professor's name?
His name was Blake Almendinger.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
we can you know identify that guy. But that's crazy, man. That is crazy because I'm from the UK and I grew up in a predominantly was a Jewish neighborhood, you know. But we used to get beat up for being Jewish. You know, I wear my kippah and I walked around with that as a kid going to school, and I live around the corner from school, and many times I come home black and blue marks, and there was one reason, just for being Jewish. I mean, you would be on the bus going something, they'd throw balls at you, kids, women, men, it didn't matter if they were black, white, Indian, whatever it was, they would beat you up for being Jewish. So, you know, for me, it's like all my life I've had that kind of in my memory. And like to hear that, you know, it's happened to this Jewish girl, and to hear it happen to you, who we just came out like something like BLM, which people would assume, you know, they took something from it, any positive they could find out of it. But so let me ask you this, when did you, like, were you always pro-Israel? Or did this thing kind of, what happened, you know, in 2020, or what's happening now, did it change your view? Where does that come from?
So me, I grew up like listening to a lot of hip hop. I would say like I like conscious hip hop, like Lupe Fiasco. Okay. So I've always heard like negative things about Israel. Like, you know, Lupe Fiasco said a lot of criticism of Israel, even of America, the country I live. I always heard a lot of negative and critical things about even America. And by me being a student at UCLA, I started finding out that a lot of these messages was either influenced by like religious ideology or people's political ideology. So like a lot of Marxist stuff that I really, once I learned, you know, once I learned about Angela Davis paying for George Jackson's brother to have the guns, like giving him the guns and sending them into basically a suicide situation where he ended up killing the judge and being killed and everything was left. Like they was just sacrificing young black men's lives, and then she gets to survive that situation and move on and continue pushing her ideology and be a professor and have her family. But she sacrificed a lot of black men back then to foment some ideology, some revolution that never happened. So there never was a Marxist revolution in America. It never happened.
So what you did was you took the time to study, learn, and understand, and see reality and realize that it's not what people are saying.
So I started learning a lot of stuff. First, just about America, and then when the protest came, I still didn't know nothing about Israel. I didn't.
Wow.
Yeah, I just, only things I heard about Israel when the protest started was negative things. When I came into the encampment the first time, I was there to show the protesters some love, and then they started calling me names. They started calling me Zionist. I never heard people get called that before. So when I started getting called that, I went online, found me some Zionist shirts, and ordered some Zionist shirts. So when they see me, I can be wearing the shirt like you gonna call me it, and I'm gonna be wearing it proudly.
Okay, so this is actually a really good point, because what happened was, like, you know, I was thinking to myself, I was like, what are these encampments helping? Like, I'm well versed in the conflict between Israel and Gaza right now, and you know, one of my questions was, what do these encampments help the innocent people that are in Gaza? So there are X amount of innocent people in Gaza. We can all agree with that.
Right.
I'm not saying, you know, huge percentages, but there are. So how does that help solve this conflict? And it doesn't, because what it does is it does exactly what it did to you. It does to people. And you came there in peace. You wanted to say, hey, what's up, man? You know, talk about it, say hi. And they attacked you.
Right.
Because they thought you were someone else, something else.
Right.
But what it did to you was, it made you learn about Israel, it made you learn about the conflict, it made you figure out the truth, and now you're pro-Israel, which is literally 100% opposite of what they would have wanted. And it's kind of crazy, because on October 7th, the people that got hurt the most were the leftists and the liberals of Israel, which means the people that were out there saying, hey, we're going to help the Palestinians, give them more land, we're going to do whatever we can to help them. Those were the ones that got murdered, because they were the border towns. So right now, the Gazans have no friends in Israel. That's the truth. And it's the same thing that the encampments are doing here. They're not making friends. They're not, and that's why I wanted to ask you, like, do you see those encampments in the school? It's disrupting your work. It's making it hard for you to, you know, manage your time with your daughter, etc. Do you see those encampments helping whatsoever people in Gaza?
Even to this day, like, I still keep it on like a basic level.
Right.
And yeah, they would like to have taken over that school. And the ultimate goal would be to overthrow what we have going on in America. So they don't believe in capitalism. They don't believe in our, you know, democratic values.
So kids studying in an American school do not believe in the country they're studying in.
Exactly. They want to have a new constitution, a new nation, new goals, new everything. And that's been, like, from day one, my first quarter there, that's been the way that it is. Like, there's been a few students who I came through that I met who are, let's say, like a Christian student or a conservative student, and they just be getting made fun of. They just be getting, like, basically picked on and made fun of. When they share their opinions, they get, you know, talked down, and it's not like really free for them to, even the professors be treating them like that, like the students and the professors.
Right, wow, that's crazy. So let me ask you, so you had this altercation, do you feel safe at UCLA right now?
So basically, I had the last incident that happened, one of the protesters smashed my phone. He threw it on the janitor's desk, broke my phone, put a gun on me and my brother, threatened to take my life. Even some, like, my neighbor walked my daughter to school today, and somebody actually stopped them and recognized my daughter. Yeah, so somebody actually stopped them, recognized my daughter. They thought that we were siblings. They were like, yeah, I know who your brother is, and like,
oh man,
they think that they seen us together and think that that's
it's
my
so
little
crazy
sister.
Because I'm an outsider. I never went to college. You know, I don't know much about, you know, but the fact that your daughter, you know, is getting harassed because you went and did the right thing.
Right.
But not only that, you also paid to be there. You're in a school where you're supposed to be. This is like your routine. This is how you're gonna grow in life. And because of just some other spoiled kids or whatever it is, you have, like, your whole life has changed in a sense.
Yeah, definitely.
Dude, that's crazy, man. So they had checkpoints there.
Yeah.
Which is kind of crazy because they're complaining about that in Israel.
Yeah. They don't see the irony. They don't see the hypocrisy in what they do. I think that's why I went viral, because, like, it went viral and, like, people cared about it, were invested in it because of the irony. I think, like, it was so ironic to see a group of people point a finger at someone and point 3 fingers back at themselves. And people, I think, really thought that, like, it was funny to them, because, I mean, I think Americans are getting fed up with these protesters. They don't just protest at universities. They take over, like, freeways where people are trying to drive to work and drop their kids off at daycare. And they just hold up people's lives, and, like, they make life more difficult. You know what I'm saying? So I think people are pretty fed up with them.
I mean, I totally agree with that. I feel like these protests have actually made the community be more pro-Israel, which obviously I'm pro-Israel. I mean, I've done a lot of studying with this. I do a lot of arguing on TikTok and Instagram with people that usually don't really want to know facts, you know, but they want to have an argument.
Right.
And I try my best, and then, you know, there's a point where you just have to go, you know, your separate ways.
Right.
Once in a while, there is someone that's gonna, you know, take what you're saying, and I think that's what's really important. What you're doing also is because there's gonna be one or two people that kind of maybe they got paid to be there, maybe they just showed up because all their friends are doing it, maybe they're bored, you know, maybe they feel they don't have friends and they feel they're in a community, maybe they feel they're doing the right thing and they're just not smart enough to go and do the research, which they should, and, you know, do some. Did you have any thoughts before, like were you leaning to one side, pro-Palestine, pro-Israel before all this, or you weren't really, like, it was like just, you know, out there for the taking?
I mean, for years I've been saying free Palestine. Like I had a music video from like 3 years ago where I was wearing a free Palestine shirt in the music video. Yeah.
Right, that is you.
So,
one second. You actually were like free Palestine. You had a music video. You wore the shirt because you were like, hey, this is the right thing. And then these experiences over the last 2-3 years really changed your perspective.
Absolutely.
Bro, that's wild.
Changed 180. Totally turned around my views. And I think it really, like, I think actions speak louder than words. Like, I'm not in the Middle East, and so anything I really say about what's going on over there is really just me playing an armchair historian. It doesn't make it true because I'm not there. Correct. I don't have firsthand experience. It'd be like somebody trying to talk about the African American experience, but they never been to the African American community. So I'm really just an ally. I'll never be the source of like expertise on anything. But I just think like actions speak louder than words. When I was hanging out with protesters and, you know, the people that are anti-Israel, people that really, when you really think about it, they are anti-Semitic, even though they try to play these little word games and mind games to try to convince you they're not. When I was around them, it's just the reality of like nothing positive was happening. They weren't doing anything positive. No positivity was in my life at the time. I was going through like even a faith crisis, a question if there even is a God, and like nothing was really happening. Now, once I actually like just stood up a little bit, just a little bit, just spoke up for the fact that, like, you know, there shouldn't be anti-Semitism on campus. Just doing something small like that.
Simple.
Doors start opening, windows start opening, opportunities start happening. So I think it's really just, I can tell by my actions and how I'm rewarded in life. If I'm doing something wrong,
you don't get rewarded for
God's not
the correct
rewarding
way.
me. Right. So when I start doing something correct and I can clearly see God rewarding me in life, then I know by my actions and actions of others that I'm doing the right thing. Even if I hadn't been doing all the research I've been doing, going to events where people are lecturing on the issues and hearing from different people that are actually experts. So yeah.
I'll tell you, first of all, I think that's also with the pro-Israeli and pro-Palestinian side, you'll see the difference, especially in their protests and everything they were doing. There was a lot of, when you go to pro-Palestinians, there's a lot of violence, there's a lot of shouting and screaming and aggression, and no one wants to talk to you. Like at UCLA, I mean, most of these people didn't want to have a conversation with you. But when you go to a pro-Israeli rally, it's usually singing, dancing, and it's usually like, hey, you want to talk about it? You have the complete opposite opinion to me. If you want to talk about it, we're open to talk about it. And, you know, going back to your story, mate, you've come a long way to come from nothing, foster homes, you know, troubled life, and then you're like, you didn't believe in God. Now you found God, but like you're seeing what, you know, so many people that have God in their life don't actually see. So that's huge. You said something earlier you really learned about this conflict more or less over what happened. You know, every time you were kind of like pushed away, hated on, you said, hey, why? And you went and bought those Zionist t-shirts. That's what you said. So here's what's really important also. A lot of people say that they're not anti-Semitic, they're anti-Zionist. And there's absolutely, that's smoke and mirrors. I mean, anti-Zionist is a bunch of bollocks. I mean, there's a handful of people from day one, you know, maybe you don't like them, maybe you're anti them, okay, but anti-Zionist today means you're anti-Semitic. It means you hate Jews. And I don't care which way you swing it. There's no way coming out of that. So when they called you a Zionist, you went and bought the t-shirt, you did your research, and you figured out that really it's anti-Semitism.
Right, exactly. So if a Zionist is a person that supports the existence of a Jewish homeland in Israel, and you say that you hate Zionists,
Right.
then the conclusion is that you hate Israel and you hate the Jewish people, and it
The
becomes,
river to the sea.
Right.
I mean, which river or which sea?
yeah, and it becomes obvious from their ideology that they want to see Israel no longer exist. They want the destruction of an entire nation of people, which is just to fathom, like, that's what they believe in wholeheartedly, and that's what they preach for, and that's what they're working towards. That's what they hope to accomplish. It makes you have to not just say like, oh man, like, it's some things you could be a part of, and you could realize it's messed up, and you be like, oh man, I'm out of here, you know?
Right.
And
Like,
just
you
walk
don't
away
have
from
to
it.
do anything.
Right,
Just
right.
walk away.
Yeah, I'm
Correct.
out of here. But for what they got going on, it's like, if you got a conscience, you will actually have to speak up and stand up against that.
So that's freaking huge, because I wanted to talk to you about that just really briefly. But like, they were telling Jewish students. I mean, the only time we've had that, well, not the only time, but the time that comes up is Germany. I mean, they were literally telling Jewish students, denounce your Judaism, and you can enter.
Right.
This is, but the crazy thing is, you're not even Jewish, and you went through the same thing. Like, Jewish students, however wrong it is, I don't want to say the words "I get it," but like, it's happened to us. We know you're gonna do this, But you're not even Jewish, and they did that to you,
Right.
which is mind-boggling. But let me ask you this: do you think if you were able to have more conversations with these pro-Palestinians, do you think you would be able to shift a few views?
I mean, that's what I hope to do. I hope to facilitate dialogue and keep it positive. I know there is one brother who is a part of SJP, and he's an organizer. He did an interview on Al Jazeera. His name's Ryan, and I was trying to tell him to come on out of the encampment, and
Have a chat.
Yeah. But he really is half Jewish, and for some reason he still feels very strongly about what he feels. But
Bro, that's scary, because there's like, and you have to admit that there are Jewish people that are pro-Palestine, and that is what it is. But they don't represent the Jewish people as a whole.
right.
Absolutely not. Because if you go to Israel, have you ever been to Israel? Information that you're given, what would you say is something that you could help solve this conflict? And would you say, is there anything you've seen on the Israeli side that they didn't do correctly?
Yeah, so like, one thing I would say is I just attended an event recently where there was a professor who was talking about where the money trail is for these encampments. Where's SJP's money coming from?
Where does that come from? Because I know, I want you to tell us.
What is BDS really doing? So when you follow the paper trail that he was showing that leads back to Qatar, and you see even like a political report they did recently that shows like even Biden donors funneling money into this movement. I think something that is really important is we have to actually get students, common people, not just people that are pro-Palestinian, pro-Israel, but the person in the center, the person that doesn't really see a big interest in this. We have to get them interested in finding out the facts and the truth and exposing the truth without the.
So I think that's really what it is. You have to get them interested in exposing the truth. You're not telling them to pick a side. You're not picking someone who's left or right. You're picking someone who's just doesn't care or is unsure, and get them interested. That's huge.
Yeah, that's my goal right now. Like, me and my homie,
Nice.
we just was in the studio Malibu yesterday. We'll be back in the studio tomorrow. We're doing a song called "We the People," with a real positive message.
Where can people find you, by the way? Just throw out your.
So on YouTube, I'm Daddy Milagro, and I'm also Daddy Milagro on Instagram. On TikTok, I'm Cupid Soldier. On X, formerly Twitter, I'm Cupid General. So yeah, people can find me on social media. They can type my name, Milagro Jones, on Google. You're gonna see interviews and stuff pop up.
Step is you would love to make it to Israel. Okay, so obviously, if anyone listens to any of these interviews and wants to help you out, get you to Israel, you'd be open to that.
Yeah.
It could be like at the book could be like 2, and on TikTok at the London Vibe, and gob-smack.tv, gob-smack TV on Instagram.